Welcome back to the counter. I guess some of you have been wondering where I've been and what I've been doing. So I started teaching myself how to paint with brushes, and in the meantime, during that whole process, I discovered a love of texture. And so what I've been doing is using various texture techniques like these to create these wonderful pieces. This is done with a comb. These are just plain backgrounds. This is a flat one with visual texture rather than tactile texture. Another one with combs. Now that's only a small sample of what I've been doing, but then once I get that texture down, I wanted something simple to work them with. So I started doing these pods, and pretty much they're nothing special. They're designed to highlight the backgrounds and the texture. So it just finished them off and gave me something to work on. Now some of these textures are beautiful, and they're done different ways. So I thought in this video I would show you how I got to these textures, and then just finish them off with a quick pod. Alright, now I warn you in advance that there is a lot of editing that will go on here. These are lots of different layers of different colours to get these sorts of effects, and I'll need to let them dry. So just as a quick example, these are in various stages. This has had a couple of layers of paint on it, and we'll need some more colours. This is a different type of visual texture that I've been working on. Again, this is only layer 2, and we'll need a lot more of that. And this is another one in gold that will end up being autumn colours. Again, this is visual texture rather than tactile, in golds and the ocean blues. That's 2 layers, and we'll need more. So I'll take you through the start and the process of doing one. Feel free to fast forward the bits that don't interest you. And like I said, there will be a lot of cutting and editing as these layers dry. Okay, one last thing. I am doing these on acrylic paper. It's 300 GSM, and it's just Audi paper. Now, the reason I'm doing them on paper is you have to have a lot of them drying as we go, and canvases are pretty hard to store and to let dry while all of these are happening. So working it out on paper was actually a really good exercise. Now both sides of this paper is sealed. The back is sealed with gloss medium, and the front is sealed with matte medium, and I'll show you that. I tape off the edges, right, and that way it gives me a nice framed border. These lines that you're seeing are just the pencil registration lines for my taping. So okay, I'll get set up, and we'll start off with one, and I'll see you in a tick. Okay, step 1. We're going to put a gloss medium on the back of this. Now this paper has a rough side and a smooth side. I prefer working on the rough side. The reason I use gloss medium, and I've just watered it down slightly, is that it seems to help the paper to stay flat. So I'm just going to do a quick coat. making sure to get my edges. Now this is Liquitex gloss medium, but any other medium can work. All you're doing is sealing both sides to stop the rippling. Okay, step 2. You're going to need some matte medium, which is just the Liquitex watered down, some tape. Now I use this painter's tape rather than just masking tape. This is actually quite shiny, and what happens is it holds together stronger when you want to take it off. So have a try with the different tapes that you've got, and see which one doesn't tear your paper. Now obviously if you're using canvas, you won't need to do the actual laying out of a board. Now to give me a surface to work on, I just use a piece of masonite. I've got a ruler just to give me some straight edges. I'll fast forward this bit so that you don't need to sit all through it. Now I will say that you'll see me doing the medium after I tape it. Now that's because you'll get limited bleeding under the tape if you actually put your medium coat over the top. That way it's protecting the edges of your tape and your paint won't seep through. So now it's just a matter of sticking it down. I actually apply this coat of medium with a squeegee, and that's actually just to give me a smoother surface. I'm doing 2 coats, making sure that I'm going over the tape and spreading it out. Nice even coat. Let this dry. Now you can use your hairdryer to dry this. I prefer not to because I find the paper crinkles, but if you're using a canvas or a board, then go for it. Okay, we'll let this dry. I'll do 2 coats, but I won't need to show you the second coat. You get the idea. Okay, so our 2 coats of matte medium is dry. We've covered the edges, and so we shouldn't have a lot of bleeding. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to do something similar to this one with the magenta and the turquoise. Now whatever you do in this particular layer, you're going to make these raised colours. So you can change everything else, but ultimately you're stuck with these colours on the raised pieces. So this is the one that you have to think about. Everything else you can change. Okay, we're dry. This is what we did yesterday. Now, I use a lot of titanium white to neutralise the base colour. I like this because it gives a nice undertone to any colour I want to use on top. So from here on in, it's layering of various colours. Now, this particular layer, what I tend to do, I just have these cheap Chinese brushes and I just brush it on, getting into the cracks. Now, this is a particular layer that I work hard at scrubbing the paint into the dips. I also remove a lot of the surplus paint using dry brushes. You can see I'm getting the pink undertones and the blue undertones. So I keep my brush fairly clean of paint. Now, there are a million ways of doing this, and I'm sure there are 1,000 people on YouTube doing it. I basically get the paint as dry as possible, to the point where I'm almost polishing the paint. So I'll move to a drier brush and pick up more of the paint. You can see how the ridges stand out and how your undercoat is diluted but still there. I think this one's actually looking just a little bit bare, so I'll just fill that. And you can use any colour combo you want to do. I want to keep the two-tone as much as I can. And then I finally get a blusher brush. This is just a makeup brush. I'll let that dry and keep going with the layers. There probably won't be very much commentary from here on in as you watch the layers appear. Okay, we'll be back when this one dries. I realised that earlier on in the video I said titanium white. This is actually unbleached titanium. So I think the white is actually too strong. So that's why I use the unbleached. Apologies. From here on in, all the colours I lay down, I don't want to be disturbed by any of the work that I do. So in between each coat I will use a very light covering of matte medium, and that will actually protect it so that I don't scratch further into the design. Okay, so there you have it. I've removed the tape. We'll just come in a close up on some of the textures. You can't really see it in this light, but the tiny bits of gold that we had in there in one of the layers actually glints in the sunlight. So that's what I've been doing. Hope you enjoyed.